Very good evening, fellow Toastmasters.
Good evening.
Good evening.
In the business session, we have only one announcement today, that is from our VP.
Hello everyone, good evening. As you all know, the next week is the contest day. I hope you're all given names, those who are eligible given names to the IC contest. Apart from that, I do not have any updates. I request everyone to put towards to the March 1st week, the very first meeting of the March, and all the roles are open for that particular week. Thank you.
I want to say something.
Yes, sir.
See, 1 month back I completed level 4. Till date I am not able to download the completion certificate. Kindly make arrangements. Because I sent message to VP also. Till date it has not been done. Kindly take care, have an alternative system so that systems flow smoothly. That's all my request. Thank you and back to you.
Sir, I will fix that. So that's all. That's all from the business session. The Sachin can take over.
Good evening, fellow Toastmaster guests.
Good evening.
When I joined Toastmasters, and I thought this is the only place that I have to cover, what I have to do is just come every Monday, give one table topic and go back. That I thought was the final frontier for me. Then later, there was one SAA back then who backed out at the middle of the term, and I stepped in and I thought, okay, I'll finish this term and I think this is the done. There's nothing beyond than that I can do. Then when I was progressing through the role, the president back then asked me to take up a leadership further ahead. So I thought, okay, why not, let me take up something, and I took up the role of VPPR. I thought, okay, now this is done, I can't take up anymore, I'm done with and dusted with all the leadership. Then after that I took up VPM, VPE and president, and I thought, oh, president is all that's there in the leadership of Toastmasters, there's nothing I can try anymore. I think I'm a proficient leader that I know, no one else can exceed me as leader. Then steps in something called district leadership. The area director, division director, CGD, PQD and district director. And it goes on all the way to the international president. Last year when I first stepped into the area director, I didn't know what to expect as a leader or someone who's taking up that role for the first time. I thought club president was all that I had to do and learn in terms of the final frontier, something that I had to explore. But when I stepped into the area director, I realized there's so much more than what I already know. It's like a ship that's going into the sea, and suddenly I realized there are too many ships around me. I'm not the only one. And each ship is special for a reason of its own. You cannot compete with someone else, nor can you be less of somebody else. It's your journey, you have to progress, and that's how you learn. When we think that something is the end of a certain thing, that's when something new starts. Don't restrict yourself even before you're already there. I thought BPPR was the end of it, but I came to president and I still knew there was something more. I kept pushing myself to go ahead and ahead. That's when I realized there's a lot more that I need to learn and explore, and that's become an incredible and amazing journey for me today. And without any further ado, let me welcome someone who's in the final frontier of the club leadership, who's currently pursuing MBA in Christ. She's a great mandala artist and also the current president of the club. Please welcome her with a huge round of applause.
Very good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I don't see any guests in the room, so now I would like to request our acting secretary, Toastmaster Jyothi, to read out the minutes of meeting of previous meeting.
Good evening, Toastmasters.
Good evening.
Here are the minutes of meeting number 1304 held on 10th of February 2025. Theme, I can. Word of the week, quintessential. The business session started at 6:20 p.m. and was chaired by Acting President Toastmaster Sindhu Shri S. In the business session, the following points were addressed. Toastmaster Sindhu Shri announced that one speech slot had been booked, as well as an education session would be held in the following meeting. Toastmaster Sindhu Shri also announced that the speech contest shall be held on 24th February 2025. DTM Udanka Arjun Jain will be the chief judge and Toastmaster Sai Snehal Reddy K will take on the role of contest chair for our upcoming club contest. Members interested in participating were requested to reach out to them. Acting Sergeant at Arms Toastmaster Chetan Vashisht started the meeting with an introduction about the theme and later handed over the charge to Acting President Toastmaster Sindhushri. Acting President Toastmaster Sindhushri opened the meeting, spoke on the theme and introduced the Master of Ceremony Toastmaster G.R. Jain. Master of Ceremonies Toastmaster G.R. spoke on the theme and introduced the following role takers for the day. Timer, Toastmaster Balraj. R-Counter, Toastmaster Lata Nahar. PP Evaluator, DTM MU Bhat. Grammarian, Toastmaster Shiv Prasad Sharma. The prepared speech session had the following speaker. Toastmaster Melgiri Das, Project 1 Level 1, evaluated by Toastmaster Gajendra Gowda. An education session titled Deep Seek the Winning Speech was conducted by DTM KVM Kishore. The table topic session was conducted by Toastmaster Jyothi Rao and had the following speakers. Toastmaster Sakshi Gupta, Toastmaster Rachana Sridhar, Toastmaster Veerabhadrappa GS, Toastmaster Vaibhav CD, Toastmaster Apoorva TR, Toastmaster Saketh. The general evaluation session was conducted by Toastmaster Raja Prasad. The winners of the week were Best Prepared Speaker Toastmaster Melgiri Das, Best Evaluator Toastmaster Gajendra Gowda, Best Table Topic Speaker Toastmaster Veerabhadrappa, Best Role Taker TAPG Toastmaster Shiv Prasad Sharma, Best Role Taker of MTG Toastmaster G.R. Jain. The President closed the meeting at 8:36 p.m. followed by the National Anthem. Thank you and back to the President.
Are there any amendments for the minutes of meeting? If not, I shall consider it as accepted and open meeting number 1305. In 1519, Ferdinand Magellan, he set to sail from Spain to find a shortcut to the Spice Islands. At that time, spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves were more valuable than gold, and the Europeans were more desperate for a faster route. His journey was anything but smooth. Storms raged, and he fell short of the supplies and whatnot. But after months of hardship, Magellan did not find a shortcut, but he found something much bigger and better. He unknowingly sailed into an entirely new ocean, one so vast and calm that he named it Mar Pacifico, that is the Pacific Ocean. Imagine thinking you're just running a quick errand and you end up discovering a half of the planet. So history is full of moments like this, where what we think is the final destination turns out to be just the beginning of something bigger. But while Magellan sailed into the new ocean, today's explorers are navigating into a different kind of ocean. One that does not require ships or maps, one that exists in codes and algorithms. AI and the automation these days are the new ocean we are about to cross. But just like the Magellan's journey, not everyone here are eager to set that sail. Some fear what lies beyond that. And no one feared it more than my grandmother. Every generation had its last frontier, something unknown, intimidating and revolutionary. For explorers, it was the sea. For scientists, it was the space. For my grandmother, it was the technology. To her, every innovation was like a new invasion. The radio took over the living area, the TV took over the smartphones took over the conversations, and the computers, they were just like a magic in a box. But the thing she feared here was not just the technology, but the feeling of being left behind and not knowing or accepting the reality. So I realized this when I saw her old diary. So growing up, I have always seen that book in a shelf collecting dust with a big note written on it, "Do not open." So I could not resist. So one day the curiosity won and I happened to open the hidden diary. So I thought I was expecting some hidden family secrets or a long lost love story. But what I found were the grocery lists, a bunch of phone numbers and the birth dates. At first I was disappointed, but between these ordinary pages, there she had few scribbled pages where she had expressed her fear of the technology, of being left beyond. She had written a note and that goes like, "The world moves so fast. First radios, then TV, now computer. I fear one day I won't be able to understand anything at all." So that hit me, because isn't that the fear of many of us even today, right? So just like my grandmother who struggled with technology, many of us now look at AI, automation and even social media with different views. We wonder, will we be left behind, or are we moving too fast or for our own good? But the human history always moved forward, and those who adapted weren't the ones who feared the last frontier, but those who actually seized it. And my grandmother, she wasn't ready to be left behind either. So she learned how to use a smartphone. She even attempted voice assistance, though though she gave up after Alexa misunderstood her accent sometimes. And history is always filled with the tales of frontiers. The Wild West was the last frontier of America. Antarctica was the last unexplored land. Then fast forward to today, what's our last frontier? It's no longer about land, it's about technology. We stand on that brink of AI revolutionizing everything: medicine, finance, and even love lives, because some of us trust dating apps more than anyone else. The last frontier, it's about us and our willingness to step into something unknown. After all, the greatest discoveries have never been behind us, it's always have been ahead of us. Who knows, one day you might just discover a whole new frontier. So don't forget to open a note which says, "Don't open it." You might find a whole new frontier. With that, let me introduce you to someone who truly represents the spirit of discovery in her own remarkable way. She has worked as an applied research engineer for a couple of years. After graduating from NYU with a master's degree, she worked at industry-leading research groups at Sony, MERL and Wayfair. Just like Meglin, she also enjoys sailing. She also practices taekwondo and she also enjoys reading and hiking in her free time. Fellow Toastmasters, please help me welcome our Master of Ceremonies, Toastmaster Rachana, with a fantastic round of applause.
Thank you, Madam President, for that generous introduction. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and Madam President.
Good evening.
Imagine this. You wake up from a nap and you find that you're transported to a new place. You look outside your window and what do you see? You see a gorgeous sunset, just sinking below the horizon. After 45 minutes, you see a sunrise. 45 minutes later, you see another sunset. Below you, below the window, you see a gorgeous vista swinging by. The Sahara Desert with its rusty alien vistas. The Nile River with its serpentine curves. And then, as night falls, you see the bright constellation of lights flickering to life in Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, what I have just described to you is a couple of hours in the life of an astronaut aboard the International Space Station. Humanity's home away from home. The space station to me represents the final frontier in man's foray into space. It's the furthest distance away from Earth at which a human currently lives. An ironic and interesting point about the final frontier is this. It's never the final one. It's never fixed. In part, driven by humankind's insatiable appetite and curiosity for more, it's always moving further and further away. Starting from man's first orbit around the moon, then moving on to landing on the moon, and now in a few years, potentially a Mars landing, and then beyond to who knows, maybe beyond the solar system itself. Another example of man's drive to scale new heights is something we all know and are familiar with, our own club, Toastmasters. Ralph C. Smedley started this club in 1924, and a critical belief of the club is that public speaking is an envelope that has to always ever be pushed forward more and more. That pursuit and consistent commitment to excellence has endured even today. It can be found in the nearly 15,000 clubs present worldwide. So, today, in our speeches and roles, let's do our part to take this tradition forward. Let's all step outside our comfort zones just a little bit. For those who are new, and I know there aren't any guests today, but I'm just going to go through what the meeting usually looks like. We usually have 3 sessions, but today we have 4. So in our lineup, the first session is a prepared speech session, where a person is prepared a speech and on a topic of their choice, and they're going to come here and deliver that. Next, we have the educational session, where we have a rare opportunity to learn from an expert. Next up is the heart-thumping table topic session, where anyone in the room can be chosen randomly and asked to speak on a topic for 1 to 2 minutes. And then we have a break. Finally, a critical part of the meeting is the general evaluation session, during which the speakers and proceedings of the meeting are evaluated. Now, any meeting is incomplete without our TAPG team. They track the technicalities of the speeches themselves and the meeting. To learn more about them, let's hear it from them. When I call your name, please stand up and briefly describe your role. So first up, we've got the timer, Toastmaster Sachin.
Good evening everyone. So I'll be your timer for today. So first, coming to the prepared speeches, the time allotted is 5 to 7 minutes. At minute 5, I'll raise the green flag and the yellow flag at minute 6 and the red flag at minute 7. And coming to the evaluators, the time allotted is 2 minutes. I'll raise the green flag at minute 1, the yellow flag at 1 minute 30 seconds, and at 2 minutes I'll raise the red flag. And next, coming to the table topic session, it's exactly the same. The time allotted is 2 minutes. I'll raise the green flag at minute 1, the yellow flag at 1 minute 30 seconds, and the red flag at 2 minutes. And note to all the speakers, don't exceed the allotted time by more than 30 seconds. If you do, you'll not be eligible for the ribbon. So I'll give my report at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sachin. A minor tweak, the evaluation feedback can go between 2 to 3 minutes. So a green flag at 2 minutes, a yellow flag at 2.5 minutes, and a red flag at 3 minutes. All right. Moving on to the R counter, we have Toastmaster Vaibhav.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. So I'll be your R counter today. So my purpose is pretty simple. So I'll be noting down all the words and sounds that are used as a crutch or a pause filler by anyone who speaks. During the meeting, I will listen for overused words including and, well, but, so, and you know. I will also listen for filler words like and I will also note when a speaker repeats a word or a phrase such as I or this means, this means. At end of the meeting, at the end of the meeting, I will report the number of times that each speaker used these expressions. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vaibhav. Next up, we have the Grammarian, Toastmaster Udanka.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good evening, one and all. How air and water is important to us to lead, grammar is equally important for us to communicate what we want to tell it to the others. So, I'm here as a grammarian today to note down the good usages, not so good usages, through which they can improve on, and to introduce to the word of the day ineffable, meaning too great or extreme to be described in words. Usage goes like this: the speaker was so powerful that it left the audience in an ineffable state of wow. With that, handing over the charge back to the Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Udanka. Next up, we have our Parliamentary Proceedings Evaluator, Toastmaster Sakshi.
Good evening, everyone. As Parliamentary Procedure Evaluator, my role is to ensure that the meeting runs smoothly. So there are three rules which we follow during the meeting: exit and entry only during the applause, no talk about the sex, religion and politics, and everyone please keep your phones on silent mode. Thank you, and let's move ahead with the ineffable meeting of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sakshi. Alright, so we've got a stimulating and interesting meeting all set up for you guys today. First, let's jump into the prepared speech session. Now, before I introduce our first speaker, I'd like to request the individual evaluator, Toastmaster Apoorva, to read out the project guidelines.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. The speaker is attempting Level 3 Project 2 Dynamic Leadership. It's an elective project. Connect with storytelling. The purpose statement. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice using a story within a speech or giving a speech that is a story. Notes for the evaluator. The member completing this project is focusing on using stories in a speech or creating a speech that is a story. The member may use any type of story, personal, well-known fiction, or one of their own creation. Listen for a well-organized speech that is a story or includes a story. The time allotted is 5 to 7 minutes. All the best to the speaker. Over to the MC.
Thank you, Toastmaster Apoorva. Now, our first speech for today is held by a creative and bold public speaker. She brings her passion for storytelling and traveling into her speeches in the form of engaging and coming-of-age anecdotes. For me personally, it has been a privilege to be witness to the steady growth of her confidence and prowess in speaking with each speech she gives. Please join me in welcoming. And before I do that, let me tell you what project she is attempting. The speaker is attempting Level 3, Project 2 from the pathway Dynamic Leadership with the speech titled Trouble in Paradise. Now join me in welcoming Toastmaster Shreya.
Better never than late. Yes, you heard me right. I said better never than late. Especially when you have friends like mine who are the complete opposite of punctuality. But wait, let me explain. Last year, 3 friends of mine and I went to Yachad on a trip. We planned to go to so many places, but we had to cut down 70% of that because, well, let's just say we're not the best at managing our time. This year, the same 3 friends and I planned to go to Udupi, my native. My dad and I, together we created a jam-packed itinerary so that my friends could see the most of Udupi in a very short time that we were there. As the unspoken leader of this trip, my major mission was just to be on time, to be punctual, to not be late. I pleaded with my friends, guys, please, 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 we need to be on time on this trip or else we can't see all the places that you wanted to see. And they agreed.
So I thought it would go well. But later on in the trip, I realized, and soon you guys will also realize why maybe making such a detailed itinerary was not the best idea. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that the only thing we were early for on this trip was our bus to Udupi. The first day in Udupi, it was almost as if I had a stick in my hand and I was trying to herd these people out of the hotel room as if they were sheep. The second day, I did have a slight mental breakdown that went like this. Guys, please, we need to leave now, or else, you know what? Better never than late, let's just not go. By the last day, I had just completely given up on telling them anything. Let them do whatever they want, get ready whenever they want. And soon you'll see why giving up was not the right thing to do. On the third and last day of our trip, my dad had arranged for one of his friends to drive us around to all the places that we want to go to because they were all out there. So after breakfast, we all sat in the car and we left to go to Karkala to see the Gomateshwara statue. By that time, we were already half an hour late. From Karkala, we then travelled to Moonvidre to take a look at the 1,000-pillar temple. It's a Jain temple, it's actually very beautiful. And my friends also thought that it was very beautiful. They thought it was so beautiful that they wanted to sit and count each of the pillars to make sure that there were actually 1,000 pillars in that temple. Yeah, very great idea. By that time, we were already 1 hour late, adding to the 30 minutes from before. We ate lunch and then we headed to Baker Fort, which is actually in Kerala, not a huge drive though, almost like 2 hours from Mangalore. After going to the fort, obviously we walked around the entire fort and we actually had very nice refreshing sugarcane juice before leaving. By that time, we were already like very late. You see, we were supposed to catch a bus at Udupi, but we were so late that I had to call my dad and ask him what to do now. And he said, actually, you know what, instead of getting on that bus at Udupi, just get on the same bus at Mangalore. Which, actually went along with that plan because my friends wanted to eat at Papa's. I'm sure you guys would have heard of it. Very famous for ice cream. They wanted to eat there. So what do I do now? I have to call the bus driver and tell him to pick us up from Mangalore instead of from Udupi. The conversation went like this. Hello sir. Yeah, actually we need to be picked up from Mangalore now instead of Udupi. Where all are the places where you can pick us up from? Actually this whole thing happened in Kannada. I'm just too lazy to translate. The signal was pretty bad and his audio kept cutting off. So this is what I heard him reply. Hello madam. Yeah, if there are no places in Mangalore, if there are no pickups there, we won't come to Mangalore. But sir, the route kind of requires you to come to Mangalore. Aren't you going to? I'm very busy right now. Don't call me back. And he kept the call. If I wasn't freaking out by then, I sure was freaking out now. I called my dad and I told him what conversation had happened, and he said, don't worry, I'll figure it out. Just you go to Papa's now because it closes at 9. And I looked down at my phone and guess what the time was?
9:30.
No, it was 8:30. It went back. It was 8:30, but we still had 20 minutes left to get to Papa's. And I told uncle, hit the pedal. We need to go fast. My friends from the back of the car, they heard all of this conversation. Now they also started freaking out. Not because of the bus, but because of the ice cream. What if we reach Papa's and it's already closed? They started frantically making plans from the back seat of the car. 2 people were going to go order ice cream and 2 people were going to unload the luggage from the car. And I was one of those luggage people. Okay. When we reached Papa's, we reached 10 minutes before it closed, and my friends were still rushing so much. They were creating almost kind of a panic situation, and I ended up leaving one of my smaller bags in the car itself. And I didn't realize this until we had actually finished eating. So that was the last time I saw my bag. After eating at Papa's, still didn't know where to go because my dad was in a meeting. He actually texted me and he was like, don't call me. I'm not going to pick up for 30 minutes, don't call me. By that time we had finished eating at Papa's and we were waiting there for almost 10 minutes. Finally, my poor dad, he called me and he told me, don't worry, I got one of my police friends to talk to the driver and make him stop at Papa's. You don't need to go anywhere, just stay there. So now my next goal in life is to somehow find a friend who's a police officer. So yeah, after that it was pretty smooth. We just waited at Papa's for the bus to come. The bus came and picked us up and we headed back to Bangalore. Without my bag, by the way, which I still don't know where it is till now. Fellow Toastmasters, my dad has always reminded me of this one quote. A lack of planning on your side should not create an emergency on my side. And I truly did see the effect of this statement during this trip. More so that the lack of following whatever plan we had set ended up creating an emergency that affected us itself. But you know what, I'm not lying when I say that the best trips to take are ones with your friends. However, I don't think I'll be planning any trips for a very, very long time. Because when you have friends like mine who are part of team, please, just 5 more minutes, just 5 more minutes. Sometimes it's just better never than late. Thank you and back to our Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shreya, for that insightful and very interesting speech. Alright, next up, we have another insightful educational session, and the speaker is the current president of the VR Advanced Toastmasters Club. He has blazed an illustrious path in Toastmasters. He served as the area director and the division director for District 121 and capped off 2024 by being the co-chair for Crescendo. Professionally, he has 14 years of experience in financial services and is currently serving as the Chief Control Officer at HSBC. For his talk, titled Toastmasters Beyond Public Speaking, let's give Toastmaster Rudra a warm welcome.
What's happening? Hi everybody, good evening. I managed to successfully navigate the Monday evening Bangalore traffic, and I also have to head back using the same traffic for an 8:15 meeting. So let's quickly sort of do one small activity. Like you heard, the title is Toastmasters Beyond Toastmasters, right? Outside of Toastmasters or outside of public speaking. Now, what I want to do is, first I want to check in this room, do we have anybody who is not a Toastmaster? Or do we have all Toastmasters here? Brilliant. Makes or saves 5 minutes of my time for sure. Okay, everybody has a pen and a paper or a mobile phone with them. Can I take one exception to allow people to use the phones if they don't have a pen and a paper? And I want you to write down 1 or 2 skills, soft skills, that you are working on currently or you plan to work on, other than public speaking, by the way. So other than public speaking, 1 or 2 skills that you are thinking you should spend some time on, or hey, you know what, I think I'm not there yet for this and I need a little bit of more time to practice that. Can we just take like a quick 10 seconds and make a note of that? So we can go to the next slide as well. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hands off. Brilliant. Now you've written something on the piece of the paper or on your mobile phone, etc. What my objective today is to tell you that majority of the soft skills that you would have thought that you need to work on, if you are a regular at a Toastmaster meeting, you would be able to work on those. And I'm sure VP Education is smiling within herself. Listening to this makes her life easier, right? Now, while you are doing this, let me just quickly tell you, in Toastmasters, as you know, there are 2 kinds of track. One is a leadership track. Udanka is a living example of that. He decided to pursue his journey primarily focused on the leadership track, and he worked at area, division, district, etc. Right? And then there is the communication track, where by default, it's like a default setting, right? When you buy your phone, it's on a default setting and then you customize it. This is the default setting, communication track, which comes with Toastmaster through its pathway learning program. Now, if you're thinking about what are the skills that I would end up learning as a, as a member in the leadership track, right? I think for me, the biggest sort of thing when I joined Toastmaster, the biggest motivator was I always felt I could speak. But there was something that I wanted to do for myself. I was an assistant manager in HSBC and I really wanted some promotion, and I was looking for an opportunity like where I can go and show people that not just processing and working in the team that I am, I can do something bigger. And if you are working in a big corporate like the one I am, where there are 13,000 people in one center, just to stand out, just for somebody outside of your team to know your name, you have to do something outside of your comfort zone, something outside of your regular business as usual activity. And Toastmaster came in that moment. I grabbed that opportunity and I said, you know what? There was a club in HSBC which was not functioning, and people were talking that should we re-energize, restart the club. And I said, okay, fine, I am in, right? And I didn't know that the moment I said I'm in, they were just thinking, okay, you are in, you are coming in as a president of the club. That was like a sudden responsibility that was given to me. And trust me, I didn't even know that there is something called pathways when I was made the president of a club. So it was as good as chartering a new club. Now when I did this, first 10 or 15 meetings, I was handheld by the area director, the division director, who are like the leaders in Toastmasters International. Some of you would have heard of Distinguished Toastmaster Girish Nagpal and Distinguished Toastmaster Vanita Rangaraju. And these were the people who were there next to me, hand-holding me to start my leadership journey. And first few things that I learned in Toastmaster is the concept of servant leadership. Up until then, leadership to me was, this needs to be done, we are going there, this is the target that needs to be achieved. And I felt like, yeah, that's what leadership is. But when I started talking to these people, working with these people, I started to manage the day-to-day business of Toastmasters Club is when I realized that there is something called servant leadership. And at the heart of all of this, so at Toastmasters, if you're not aware of the leadership construct, at a club level, we have the club executive committee, combination of clubs form an area, then combination of areas is division, then district, then region, and then Toastmasters International. And this slide has nothing but just that information about how the formation happens. But what did I learn as I started to navigate myself through this leadership journey is one really important skill. And if I want you to take away just one thing from this session, that what do you learn as a Toastmaster leader is this skill of influencing without authority. If you're a prime minister, it's so easy to say, right? Devi or Sajjano, kal se hum ghar se bahar nahi niklenge. There is an authority associated with that, right? A policeman can get the bus stopped at Papa's. That's an authority. But in Toastmasters, you practice leadership where you are influencing without authority. And trust me, this is something that has really helped me navigate through not just one but two very complex organizations that I've been part of. When you are able to show people value of what's in it for them without really putting in that authoritarian hat is when you get things done, right? And this is something that Toastmasters leadership teaches you. And along the way, there are quite a few other skills that you learn. You listen to your team, you are creative, you are planning, adapting, discipline, analytical thinking, and time management. All of this come together. But for me, the biggest standout is influencing without authority. So if you are thinking of starting your corporate careers, you are already in your corporate and you feel that I need that one push to move ahead, pick up a Toastmaster leadership role put this in your CV, talk about this in your interview, and I'm sure the interviewer will appreciate. Before I became the president and then area director and division director in Toastmasters, I didn't have any direct people management experience in the organization. I was always an individual contributor. Now, up until one level, it's fine, right? But beyond that, if you want to grow in a corporate career, you need to manage people. You can't be the lone wolf. You need to hunt in packs, right? And that's where this comes in handy, where you are able to give example to the interviewer that here is how I was able to get success out of a group of individuals on whom I didn't have any authority. So imagine what I can achieve if I have slightest of the authority with me. So this is one thing that you get to learn and get to hear. Now let's move to the communication track. In this meeting, we had different roles, right? And I'm sure all of you are Toastmasters, so you know about these roles. And I don't have to tell you, right? 10 really important roles in Toastmasters. Now, I just wanted to share from my experience that just by taking these roles, what are some of the skills that I have developed, both consciously and because of the inherent nature of that role, and where I have applied those skills that has really helped me both in my corporate career as well as in personal life as well. Let's start with the Sergeant at Arms, right? All of you know what does the Sergeant at Arms do? Is there anybody who doesn't know? Good, yes, introduce, opens the meeting, gets the whole setup ready, etc., right? Now, what are the skills you are learning at a Sergeant at Arms by doing all of these things? One, your organizing skills. One of the biggest lessons for me as a Sergeant at Arms was when we were still meeting in person is to know the food preferences of my club. Who doesn't like samosas and who doesn't like burgers and what not, right? So every time I had to plan for the food, I had to be very, very conscious and careful on managing that, right? And I'm just telling you, this is an inherent nature of a role or as a Sergeant at Arms, that you are getting really good at planning things. And trust me, if Shreya's friends were planning or were taking Sergeant at Arms role, they would be really good at planning their trip, right? Punctuality, obviously, we start the meeting on time, we end the meeting on time. And because you are making all of the people do this, many a times you don't realize, but you are in a leadership position and you are, without knowing, developing your leadership skills. Now, where this has helped me, very simple ones, but really a good ones. From my office perspective, now this is something that I just quickly wanted to spend a few minutes, is just after COVID, people were coming back to office and there was a big sort of change in the way the things were being managed. That's where my Sergeant at Arms role came in very handy to set the tone, to manage the discipline on how things will come back, how we will make sure that all the COVID protocols are followed, etc. And I was working with the site leadership at that time, and I realized that without consciously thinking about it and without consciously preparing, just by being a good Sergeant at Arms in every Toastmasters meeting where I got an opportunity, I got to work on this, right? How are we doing with time? We good?
Yeah, we have
10 more minutes we have?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Next up is Toastmaster of the Day. Now, this is a role many people are scared to take because you have to spend the most amount of time here, and that's the scariest thing to do. But this is the role which teaches you the most as well. The biggest standout for me as a Toastmaster of the Day is not about just hosting the event and being very confident to tell, etc. It is, and you might not realize, it's about resilience. Many a times, a million things that you would have planned do not go as per the plan. And if you are a good Toastmaster of the Day, you wouldn't allow the people in front of you to even know that what's going inside you and what's happening behind the scenes. And this is something that really comes in handy, especially in a crisis situation. when you have to manage crisis, you have planned for everything, and all of a sudden you get, your plans are thrown out of the window. How do you get back on your feet, and how do you manage that? That comes in handy to this role. Then there are other things like we spoke about. That is again inherent to this is your public speaking, event management, adaptability, leadership. What did I learn is my biggest takeaway was this one: moderating panels. So this is my second stint in HSBC. I was with HSBC for 12 years and then I left. I became a bit adventurous and came back again. Last day of my HSBC stint last time, there were two CEOs who were visiting from UK for two big businesses of HSBC. And by the time I was already in Toastmasters for 3+ years. Now, the person who was supposed to host, the senior leader was supposed to host those two for a webinar, or not a webinar, but an in-person session. And he drops out. He drops out because he was really unwell and he had to be hospitalized. The center head then said, I know this is your last day. You have mentally sort of switched yourself off from HSBC. But would you be willing to do this one thing for me and moderate the panel? I had all but 1 hour, 60 minutes. Like to the dot, 60 minutes is what I had to prepare for this panel moderation. But two CEOs whose combined experience is, I don't know, double my age, and the things that they know, probably I can't even think of, a lot of unknowns with them, etc. But because I had taken this role of Toastmaster of the Day, and I thought that, because as a Toastmaster of the Day, you are always in control. If I continue with that mentality, and I'm sure I'll be able to do good. And at the end, I think I did fairly good, got good feedback. I managed to get my full and final settlement, so that shows that I didn't really mess up there. But I think when you are practicing your skills as a Toastmaster of the Day, it's helping you prepare even when you don't know that you are getting prepared for things like these, right? And then, all the other activities. I recently hosted one Mehndi event for one of my cousin's wedding, and obviously it was in Hindi, so I had my own sort of fair share of things that I could add based on the Toastmasters experience, and you gather stuff, right? Distinguished Toastmaster Rajdeep Manwani, who is one of the the pioneers here in District 121 and 92. He once, I was attending one of his sessions, and he said, you should aim to learn one new thing every day. Just one new thing. It could be one joke, one code, one information by reading the newspaper, etc. And that has stayed with me for a long, long time. And every time I have done a Toastmaster of the Day, I can tell you that, whatever I've learned through doing that, it stays with me. Because I am living that moment for 1.5 to 2 hours in the meeting that I'm hosting, right? So it stays with you and it comes handy. There is a good recall when you are suddenly brought back on the stage, so your mind is ready and not nervous. Okay, just quite closely related to Toastmaster of the Day is Topics Master as well, because again, you are leading one whole segment, you are being very creative, so thinking on the feet. One of the most underrated aspects that people don't really pay attention to is listening, both as a Toastmaster of the Day and as a Topics Master. We often get this feedback from General Evaluator that, you were really good at transitions, or you could do better in transitions when you are doing the Topics Master role or a Toastmaster of the Day. Why do they talk about this, and how do you get better at transitions? Transitions are nothing but you staying in the moment, listening to that Toastmaster. I'm able to do a bit of a recall to what Shreya was talking, and Pabbas is also one of the favorite places for me in Mangaluru, so I can relate to that, and it's sticking with me because I was just doing nothing but merely listening and paying attention to what Shreya had to say. I'm really bad with names. but because Toastmaster of the Day repeated her name twice before introducing, the name stays with me as well. So all I'm doing is, because of this practice that we continuously do meeting after meeting in Toastmaster, is listening to make sure that we are able to transition properly. We are harnessing and working on our listening skills without even realizing. We have a habit as as topics master, or sometimes as a Toastmaster of the Day, I make notes of things, the words that stand out for me. Now, that again also helps me in listening, and I follow the same practices when I'm part of a meeting in my corporate, where I'm able to quickly make a note of it, of the things that stand out. And then when I meet that speaker, the presenter the next time, there is a good recall because I have written that, and I think that's something that works with me, might not work for others, but something that I've seen working with many members. Where do you use the skill of a topics master? Sorry. So, similar to Toastmaster of the Day, you are handling Q&A, you are handling spontaneous conversations and unexpected challenges. Now, next up, let's talk about the favorite in the meeting, at least my favorite role in the meeting is a general evaluator. This is coming really handy as a father as well. And I'll share the example on how general evaluator and evaluator role is coming handy for me as a father of a 3-year-old. So first thing first, right now in most of the corporates, it is the season of appraisals and performance discussions and goal setting for the next year, etc. After a long time, I was managing a bigger team and I had to do the performance discussions. I had taken some of the members of the team mid-year, so half the year somebody else were their managers and then half the year it was me. So once the sort of year ended and when we gathered, when we discussed in terms of how we are going to have the performance discussions, my go-to approach was there has to be a sandwich method or a burger method or whatever you call, right? And they are like, not needed. You just have to tell them, you have to be brutally honest. I said brutal doesn't mean you are going to kill them, right? The whole idea behind this particular session that we are going to have them is to help them grow. You want your team to look good even when you are not present. And I think this role of general evaluator and evaluator really helped me in two things. One, throughout the year, I had this one running email that was open and always there as a draft where whenever they did something stand out, I was making a note of it. And whenever something that they did and it didn't go as per the plan or didn't really help the team, I made a note of that as well. And luckily there was no time constraint, so I didn't have to finish in 3 minutes. I had a lot of time to provide the feedback to the team member, right? But even after having a lot of time at my hand, I decided to choose the only 3 things that I wanted to share. Generally what we do in a speech, we have a 5 to 7 minute speech, but we pick up just 2 or 3 things. And I really wanted to share with them what was the standout and what are the things they could work on. And again, everything that I had learned through the roles of general evaluator and evaluator came handy in sharing the input. Now, one team member that I have is a very good performer, but she has a very, very, very limited appetite for a strong feedback or a negative feedback. The moment you share that, there are people who are emotional. She's quite emotional and starts to show her emotion in forms of the water rolling down her cheeks, right? And I am someone who doesn't like that. Like in the sense that when you are in a corporate, you all are adults, so you should have that thick skin to be able to take the feedback and to be able to see why that feedback is being provided and to be able to go ahead and work on those. Last 3 years, the people that she was reporting into, all of them during the performance discussions had to do the performance discussion at least 2 or 3 times, because whenever the time came to share the negative feedback with her, she broke down and they didn't know how to manage the situation, so they had to let her go, let her settle down, and then come back either the next day, 2 days later, 3 days later, etc. One person happened to be in such a scenario that she ended up escalating because the kind of words her manager that time used. This time, this was the biggest challenge that I was preparing myself for. How to ensure that she doesn't end up crying in the meeting, right? And because of the last 3 years of track record, my manager decided to sit in that conversation as well, and he said, I will be a silent listener. He's a French guy, and in his French accent, he said, I'll be a silent listener, but you need to make sure that she doesn't cry. And that's when this whole learning, 5 years of Toastmasters came in really handy. I decided to just share 3 things with her. 1, the biggest standout of the year, and 2, that she really needs to work on. And as we do in Toastmasters, we just don't give the feedback, oh, you can speak louder. No, we show how it's done. And I literally followed that. So I didn't end up just giving her the feedback, I showed her how to work on the feedback. It was not just that she didn't cry in the meeting, she was laughing, smiling. She also ended up, sort of, how do I say it? Putting things in a manner that really helped us learn why she reacts in a certain way. And through this conversation, we ended up learning our team member much better than what we would have imagined. I'm sharing this specific instance with you, the reason being, without you realizing, as an evaluator or a general evaluator in a Toastmaster meeting, you are developing these skills where you are understanding the person in front better, not just listening to what they are saying, etc. And that comes handy, like really handy in our corporate relationships, but at the same time in personal relationships as well. One of really sort of close Toastmasters of me, distinguished Toastmaster Nana, always says that, you know what, if we are just being Toastmasters outside of the meeting as well, the world will be a very different place, right? Imagine applauding for even the slightest of the opportunity that you get for a person in front of you, or always going ahead and going the extra mile to ensure that others are feeling valued. I've already covered these things in my summary, but just wanted for you to take a look at this. What do you get as an evaluator and general evaluator? Okay, now the tag, the timer, account, the grammarian. A timer, time management. Just today I met a very senior member of HSBC, and then when he had gotten me in his EXCO meeting, the executive committee meeting, he said, one thing I really need your help on, because every time I come to your meeting, you show me the traffic signals. Can you do something like that here as well? Because that's how he knew Toastmasters and how we were really good at managing time. At that time, he was the managing director of HSBC, and we used to tell him before the meeting, you only have 5 minutes, 3 minutes green, 4 minutes yellow, 5 minutes red, 30 seconds and you wrap, otherwise we'll mute your line. This was the COVID time. And he came to our meeting a couple of times, and after that, he started to really value the way we drive the time management in Toastmasters. And as a timer, you are at the helm of that, and these are some of the things that you are learning, and this is how it comes handy. Our counter. How many of you know Mahendra Singh Dhoni? Everybody? How many of you have heard him talking? Nobody? Okay, so many of you. And how many of you know what's his favorite crutch word? You know. So before I was a Toastmaster, I would have heard Dhoni, I don't know, like hundreds of times. After I became a Toastmaster, I was paying attention to his crutch words all the time. You know Barack Obama? What's his favorite filler sound? Right? So when you are a Toastmaster, you start to noticing all these nuances even when your mind is outside of the Toastmaster meeting. You are conscious. And because you are conscious, you are applying that to yourself as well. So I feel that both, and same happens with the grammarians. There are many a times you are not in the Toastmaster meeting and suddenly you hear a wrong grammar. You know, the mind suddenly wakes up and says, ah, where did this come from? This is not the right usage, right? And that's essentially what I wanted to show you, that as the R counter, you are learning the verbal discipline, clarity, self-awareness. You are always actively listening, and that is really helping you polish your language skills as well. Now, the last two roles, the speakers, both the prepared speaker and table topic speakers. Prepared, as the name says, you are preparing, and that is really a skill that that really can take you a long way. And I'll give you an example. So when I was appearing for an interview, I had appeared for many interviews before that. And the first question that's always asked in the interview is, tell me about yourself and something that's not on your CV. And I would have probably answered it in many different times, and I've been successful in the interviews as well. But after I became a Toastmaster is when I truly started to understand how do I really, even that one basic question, how do I even nail it and take the interviewer in the direction that I want to take him to or her to, right? And this is something that came, the skill that came to me through the various projects that we have in Toastmasters, right? You are practicing, you are learning, and every single time you are putting this particular skill of yours to use, right? So you are planning constantly, you are preparing constantly, because as a prepared speaker, we are always given the feedback, right? Oh, you were prepared, or you were not prepared, or you practiced, or you didn't practice. You're conscious about your gestures, you're really conscious about your vocal variety, your eye contact, your body language. So every single thing that you are doing is actually making you a confident person as a whole, and not just a prepared speaker, and you get to display this in all the scenarios. As a table topic speaker, and I'll promise this is the last slide. As a table topic speaker, you are getting prepared for the things that are not to be prepared for, right? And as I was giving example of Dr. Rajdeep Manwani, that he said, prepare, just learn one new thing every day. I was sitting in one interview, and I had prepared for all the possible scenarios that could be there, related to my role, not related to my role. And suddenly I come into the meeting and the interviewer asked me about Bangalore traffic. And I was like, what? This person is sitting in UK, says, oh, you are in Bangalore, and I've heard so many things about Bangalore traffic. What's happening there? Just because I had attempted a few table topics in past on Bangalore traffic, I was able to not just share about Bangalore traffic, but also ensure that Bangalore is not portrayed in a bad light, and add some humor to it as well. That humor, which I decided to take him to the direction I wanted to take him, to say, Bangalore traffic is teaching me patience, and the role that you are interviewing me for requires a lot of patience. So, right there, you have the right candidate sitting in front of you, right? So these are some of the things. Now, open the notes that you had made on the skills that you are working on, and see, is there any skill that probably you make a note of and is not covered as part of the various things that you are doing in Toastmasters? Anybody has an example? It might be, I'm not saying that Toastmaster is the place or the only place, but is there any other skill? I am confident, and that's why I navigated through the Bangalore traffic to come here today, that all the skills that most of us in today's day and age is working on can be worked on, can be mastered through doing the roles in Toastmasters meeting effectively. Every single time you pick up any role, some people say, oh, essay is a small role, oh, what will I learn? No, you learn a lot from all the roles that are out there. So every single time you take the role, think of it as, how do you make it the best attempt that you can possibly make for that role? How do you bring a different flavor, your creativity, and how do you end up acing that. And that's why I say that today, are you ready for this adventure with Toastmasters? Thank you so much for patiently listening and really appreciate your invite to this meeting. Thank you.
Wow, what a speech. Thank you, Toastmaster Rudra. I truly think you've shed light on all the benefits of immersing ourselves in Toastmasters fully and all the benefits we can gain in our professional and personal lives. And transitions is a thing I will make note of, so thank you. All right, up next, we have our table topics. Post this edge of your seat thriller, please help me in welcoming a member of our club who brings her passion for visual storytelling and a keen interest in stories of positive social initiatives to her speeches in the club. For me, I always look forward to her speeches to learn something new and informative. Please join me in welcoming Toastmaster Shuba.
Thank you so much, dear Rachana, for that lovely introduction. So, fellow Toastmasters, imagine you're currently in a spaceship headed towards the final frontier out of your comfort zone. How are you feeling? Are you ready to take on this adventure?
Yes.
This spaceship, as you all might know already, is fueled by speaking at the helm, and the topics will be given out by your captain, the table topic master, me. So, let's jump right in to this session. The first topic is, can computers or robots ever replace humans? Can computers or robots ever replace humans? And this topic goes to Toastmaster Balraj.
So it's always an interesting question that I ask this to myself many times. Can computers, robots, or any technology can take over humans? So my answer is certainly no. Because these technologies have been invented by humans, and as and when we start evolving and growing onwards, so these are just tools. Certainly they are powerful tools, no doubt about that. But they are tools. So tools can never replace human, because humans are naturally evolved over a period of millions of years. So these tools are nothing but it's a convergence of multiple intelligence that has taken place across the world. So certainly during this revolution of artificial intelligence, we come across, okay, AI is going to replace humans. No. So they are going to replace humans who don't have capabilities, who don't have skill sets, who don't have talent. So there are many areas where humans are certainly required. For example, areas where personal touch is required, areas where emotions are required, areas where how to use the tools are required. For example, we may give a wonderful machine, an engineering machine, to a person. If the person doesn't know how to utilize that tool, certainly it cannot, it will replace. If the person knows how to make the use of that engineering tool in a better way, so he can write that tool, he can control the tool and create more beautiful any structures or any components or any elements. So certainly computers cannot replace humans. They are just equipments who help humans. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Toastmaster Balraj. I think humans are definitely the controllers of machines. Coming to the next topic. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And this topic goes to distinguished Toastmaster K Prabhakara.
2 steps forward.
1 step back.
Madam Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome. 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. This is one of the finest sayings that is applied by French. When you attempt something, there are possibilities that you, in spite of taking calculated risk, you are likely to fall and crash. More so in business risk or making films which will bomb at the best of the actors in place. It happens. But before you really do it, then you take 1 step back and find out what are the possible risks and have you covered for this. Recently, one of my friends, he said he's going to invest money in something like the office we have here, sharing the, and that investment was running up to almost 50 lakhs or 60 lakhs. And I asked him, he wanted to kind of reflect on that with me and discuss. And I said, fine, in case the money doesn't come back, have you covered yourself for that situation? And he said he has subsequent kind of collateral in case it fails. But in case it succeeds, he is going to be one of the biggest investors, and perhaps the seed investing was past that and he was an angel investor, and he is likely to be a big man, and that risk he was prepared to take. So when even writing a speech, you have to write it, draft it, show it to mentor, take 1 step back to find out whether it fixes with respect to your ability, audience, and occasion. This is a small risk that you are taking. So whenever you do something that is requiring, it's a frontier, today word is, theme is frontier, take 2 steps, no doubt, go ahead, but take 1 step back to find out whether it is right, are you on the right track, or how much is the risk involved. Over to table topic master.
Thank you for that insightful response related to risk taking. Coming to the next topic. If you are leaving Earth for good tomorrow, what will you take with you? If you are leaving for good from Earth tomorrow, what will you take with you? And this goes to Toastmaster Gajendra.
Leaving Earth, I think I wouldn't take any materialistic things. I take the people with me and go. My dogs, my family, and I take all the memories that people used to have. What else can I take? Where will I be going? Like anywhere out of space. Okay. I think I'll take the Toastmaster Club with me. Again, every Mondays, it's good to be here. Actually, one thing I look forward to coming every week. I think I'll take this one as well. Apart from all the other things that I said after the week.
It's nice that you're thinking of us when you're leaving. So the next topic is, what is the best gift you have ever given? The best gift you have ever given. And this goes to Toastmaster Gia.
The best gift is whenever I help someone
Like whenever someone is in need, maybe some poor person who is hungry, who is thirsty, and the people come near the traffic signals asking for money or asking to take strawberries, mulberries, they all bring those stuff. And whenever I see the smile on their face when I buy those stuffs, I feel that is the best gift I have ever given. Like they need that and I'm giving that. So yeah, that's the best gift. Yeah, I cannot think about it. Thank you.
Thank you for that response. The next topic is, if you had the chance to live inside any movie, what movie would it be and why? If you had the chance to live inside any movie, what movie would it be and why? And this goes to Toastmaster Saketh.
Good evening to the Toastmasters and Toastmasters. If there's a movie that I can live in, I think it would probably be Back to the Future. It's that one movie where I find it very interesting, and just to see what future is like and how your future is going to be, and going back in time to see how your ancestors were and how they live, and see the transition of how the world has evolved over the years. That's something that would be a little out of my mind or my perspective of how the world has evolved. And that's something that would open a clarity to me and accept the fact that things change. And you need to be ready to evolve and progress. So if that situation happens, it will be Back to the Future movie. So, yeah, thank you.
It's one of my favorite movies as well. The next topic is, growing old is mandatory, but growing up is optional. Growing old is mandatory, but growing up is optional. And this topic goes to Toastmaster Vijay Upendra.
Thank you, Madam Topic Master. Good evening, Toastmasters. Welcome, guests. Growing old is inevitable. Nobody can stop that at all in the first place. But growing up is left to the individual as such. What is the growing up really means varies from person to person. It is not constant like a mathematical equation. What is that is required internally to develop myself is what important. Because we all have been taught to get the external validation more rather than the internal acceptance. Unless we accept internally, where is the question of growing up? Growing old happens, but where is the question of growing up internally as far as the skill set is concerned? We know that X skill is required to grow. The effort has to come from within. Then only it is possible to grow up. Simply seeing the movie, what is happening in the external world, it may motivate, but inspiration has to come from one's own within to apply that in real life situation as such. Then only it is possible to grow. Growing older is very easy. You don't need to try at all. It automatically happens. Whereas we need to put effort to grow up qualitatively. Day by day, month by month, year after year, we see the improvement inside. Then only it has a meaning as far as the growing up is concerned. This is my takeaway as far as the growing up part is concerned. Thank you and back to you.
Thank you for that thought-provoking response. The next topic is, if you could travel back in time, what would you change? If you could travel back in time, what would you change? And this goes to Toastmaster Nanda Kishore.
Hello everyone. This is the first topic that I'm just handling. Maybe I'm not mobilizing the right proceedings over here. I can get the table topic. What I would change? Okay. I would change. I would not let my hair get because after COVID it has. I couldn't control the hair fall kind of thing, but otherwise on the lighter side, what I would change is maybe the partition of India and Pakistan, where which led to a lot of bloodshed, and which I would have stopped it, and there was too much of emotional connect between the two countries, the people of the two countries. And probably that could have been stopped or avoided, but otherwise.
Thank you for your response. Next topic is what does home mean to you? What does home mean to you? And this topic goes to Toastmaster Sudeep.
What does home mean to me? My ancestors are from Andhra Pradesh, but I was born and brought up in Jamshedpur. And to this day, I don't know my mother tongue and I have no connection to Visakhapatnam. And so I have, growing up, I had a bit of identity crisis. But in life, I have always found some pockets of spaces which I could call home. One was in sports. I am a kind of guy who doesn't talk a lot, but when I'm playing and I'm competing with other people, it's something that really gets me going, and I really enjoy that. And there's a certain communication that happens in that kind of a space which I really enjoy. So it's with my friends I find that. When I first met my wife, I could really connect to her, and we talked for hours on end, and it was a very different experience for me. So that's something that that's the notion of home that I've developed over the years. That it's people and the connections that you have with them, and the kind of things that you do with them. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for that heartfelt response. The next topic is, if life gives you lemons, what will you do with it? If life gives you lemons, what will you do with it? And this goes to Toastmaster Raja.
Thank you, Captain and fellow Toastmasters. If life gives you lemon, what would you do with that?
Lemonade.
Yeah, definitely lemonade. So I take this as an analogy. If life gives you trouble, what would you do? How do you act upon that when there is a trouble? So I have seen something like in 2009, I was in US and I was working in the college, and my college is located between New York and New Jersey. It's in the Hudson River. And one day people were shouting outside. Then I left the coffee shop where I was working, and I went outside and saw the pilot landed the entire flight on water. So I was thinking, why this guy landed the entire flight on water and people just came out and then they were standing on the wings of the plane? So after that I got curious and I read a lot about that and saw the documentaries. So what has happened is, when the flight took off, the engines got damaged by the birds. So from the control room, they said like, okay, you bring the flight back to the airport. But this guy did not do that. Because if he would have taken it to the airport, the altitude is not very high for it to sustain. It would have definitely crashed buildings or something. So what he did was, in terms of the crisis, his quick thinking, immediately what he did is he landed the entire flight on water. And there were some incidents which has happened. It is not easy to land a flight on water, and nobody trains you to land a flight on water when you're training as a pilot. So life gave a problem, but his quick thinking and courage made him to land and save all the people. So when life gives you lemon or trouble, you use common sense and act courageous, bold, and then you will be able to solve it. With that, back to our captain.
For that interesting roller coaster of a response. If life gave me lemons, I would have just made chitranda. I think we have time for one final topic. If there's one advice you would give to your 16-year-old self, what would it be? One advice you would give to your 16-year-old self, and this goes to Toastmaster Jyothi.
Thank you, Table Topic Master. Good evening, Toastmasters. Advice given to a 16-year-old Jyothi. It's very difficult when this Jyothi needs advice from that 16-year-old Jyothi. Advice given, to give advice it is very easy, because you are not in that person's place. So the entire vocabulary, all alphabets, one can create garlands of those alphabets and put it on others as the phrase advice. But the advisor, does they really think that a particular advice is required the way we see the other person? It is the reverse. If a person has to give advice, I think the person should actually be in the other person's shoes and understand what it is that they are looking out for. It may not be an advice, it may just be an acceptance they are looking out for. It could be just a statement they have said or a thought that has come to them, and the listener thinks according to their own so-called intelligence that the other person needs advice. So one has to think, who is the person who needs advice? The 16-year-old girl or the adult? And is the adult really an adult? And the 16-year-old person is really in teens, because many a times young people talk more maturely than a so-called adult. Thank you, and back to the table.
Thank you for that existential response. I think we've come to the end of our session, and the spaceship has landed successfully. All of us have reached a little closer on our personal final frontiers. Thank you, and back to the thanks.
Wow, Captain Shuba, what a wide-ranging and enjoyable journey you've taken us on. Alright, well now we've come to the session that we've all secretly been waiting for. I know I have, the break. We have 5 minutes for that, so let's get back here after 5. Alright, welcome back everyone. I hope you had a good opportunity to refuel and network. I really like the snacks, it was a nice change. Alright, So now let's get to the most critical part of the meeting, the evaluation session. It's time to introduce our general evaluator for today. Steady, humorous, and a de facto mentor for the entire club, this member is the perfect evaluator. With skills born from his distinguished career in Toastmasters, from being a founding member of this club to more than 2 terms as president, please join me in welcoming our general evaluator for today, DTM and Udanka.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, for that wonderful introduction. Today we don't have any guests. I think we will straight away dive into the evaluation and the receiving guest time. Very powerful opening by the Sergeant at Arms. A very interesting, conducted journey into South Canada, I think, by a speaker. A very insightful presentation by our guests, an educational session, and an interesting table topic session. That about summed up today's meeting today. I think, Raja, you can. Thank you. That about sums up today's meeting. So let me get into specifics. The first thing is about, of course, the business session started a bit late. Okay, it's about 8:27. It's a brief one. Only one, other than BP Education's mentioning about contest, there was one query raised by one of the members regarding completion certificate for L4. I think our VP will take care of it appropriately and with alacrity. Next, Sergeant at Arms took over 828, and what a powerful opening. And you never let us down with your presence and your preparation. I really like today. The one thing we should learn from Sai Snehal every time he comes behind this, his energy, his power, his free movement, and the way he presents. He brought that whole meeting to order with this powerful voice. Good morning, good evening, and the powerful voice, and straight away told about the, what I like really what about your shifting of frontier is how it's more important than frontier per se. That concept you brought about, and you connected to that club leadership. How you learned about the various, how the frontiers went on shifting forward. That's how the frontier is about. A wonderful your introduction introduction to the president was also in order. Absolutely no issues. Wonderful opening, great job done, and more than anything, I like the pakoda. Better change from after a long time. Thank you for that, and let's give a big round of applause to our Sergeant. Next, our President took over. Minutes of meeting presented by Toastmaster Jyothi. A well-drafted minutes of meeting, very succinct and accepted without any correction. That itself shows accuracy and completeness. Let's give a round of applause to Jyothi. I think he is an essential. Then coming to President's address, I really liked your insightful speech, Madam President, because you are from a concept of frontiers as starting from the your Pacific Ocean, for the spice route, how it evolved, and then into modern ocean of artificial intelligence. In fact, what we think artificial intelligence as a frontier, as you rightly brought about, maybe this is one of the frontiers, maybe something beyond. The next, after 1 year, the frontier shifts. There will be something else of the what is called the technology frontier will be advancing. So that concept you brought about, and what I really liked about the speech was you brought that analogy from your grandmother. And I could resonate it because I belong to her grandmother's age, I think. So I think that the trials and tribulations which I felt regarding fighting with the various kinds of technologies for last 70 odd years. So it's a real challenge. And each time we live with that kind of, and each time we are seeing a new frontier opening up. So that speech wonderfully came about. I think we should give a big round of applause for that great speech of our president. just not to forget about your introduction to Toastmaster, wonderful done. So let Toastmaster Rachana, I think I will come to last. I think we'll straight away go into the prepared speech session. There was one very interesting speech by Shreya, Toastmaster Shreya, evaluated by Apoorva. Connect with the storytelling. Is a Trouble in Paradise is the title, is an LTP to speak. Can I have Toastmaster Apoorva to give your evaluation?
Good evening, fellow Toastmaster, and to my target speaker, Toastmaster Shreya. Today I'll be evaluating your speech in 3 sections where you excel at, where you could improve, and where you can challenge yourself for the next speech. Firstly, I would like to congratulate you on completing this project. I must say it was a great speech. You kept us hooked all through the speech. Coming to the opening, you started off by telling about your trip to your hometown with your friends. You in the introduction itself, you clearly mentioned that you had a challenge of keeping up with time, and you got us through the speech, and you also showed us the challenges. You created the challenges, telling that your friends are never on time, and it was a challenge to follow the itinerary and complete it at the same time. You got us through the speech. You created the suspense. There was vocal variety where you showed panic and anxiety. Initially, where you were taking your friends, pushing them out of the room literally on the first day of the trip. It was almost like we were with you and we were pushing them along with you. You carried us, you got us hooked completely through the speech. You used humor when you used humor in many portions of your speech, which was very powerful to keep us engaged with you. Then then you moved to the part of the speech where you were late and you were scared where you would miss the bus. Again, there you added humor where you mentioned about the papa ice creams, where your friends were scared if they would miss the ice creams rather than missing the bus. So you kind of created suspense where you asked us the question, telling do you think we would get the ice cream? And again, it was entertaining in that. I must say there was great stage presence behind the lectern. You were very confident, and your eye contact was on point, as well as your body language and vocal variety. Coming to where you should work on, I felt the conclusion was not as powerful as the introduction and the body. So maybe you could work on it, and it would be great if you were telling the story with the takeaway in the conclusion, where the audience would take away something, some meaning or a lesson from your speech. So it would be nice. But coming to your project guidelines, where your speech was about storytelling, you were successful in that. Just that work on the conclusion. So the challenge would be to make a conclusion with the takeaway. Thank you, and over to the general evaluation.
Thank you, Toastmaster Apoorva. Your evaluation was spot on. You explained what where really did well. You suggested one point which I too felt with regard to conclusion. Only one suggestion, what came to my mind when I saw her speech is she was already having presence. But today, from the day go, from the title itself, that better never than late. It's an interesting twist. That drew our attention. That is something which really I liked in her speech today. And the thing is, from the day, she started. She was the whole audience hooked on to the speech from the beginning to the end. There is something great, and she has finally found her voice. I've been always telling her about her voice. We are improving, and today she has really got the voice. Because what happens when I come to I cannot tell the same thing with our topic master and even our master seminar. I'll come to them later. But that is one thing I really liked. You have finally arrived as a Toastmaster with a powerful voice, and all your speeches you have been following some humorous. It's a built-in humor thing. You are a really amazing humorous speaker in the making. That's how I feel it. You can build on that. But as she rightly said, the conclusion, story is the medium ultimately just it's not an end in itself, but it should be means to an end to something bigger. So that concept of better late than never, that concept could have built up more on the conclusion. It would have taken it to the next level. And this Apoorva, your evaluation, I really liked. You could give the valid suggestion to her, and you explained it very nicely. Wonderful job done. I think let's give a round of applause to both our evaluator and our speaker. Next, we had education session by Toastmaster Rudra. One thing is I learned. Yeah, I will tell about the ballot. I will give about that. You have already put up. You can voting first. Okay, because I think it's already. Anyway, there is no issue because she is the only speaker and the evaluator. Only table topics. You please put your. So I was coming to the education session by Toastmaster Rudra. Rudra, no? Yeah. One thing I really liked was actually this one thing we should observe. Two things today stand out for me today. Three voices. One is Sai Snehal, Raja, and now Toastmaster Rudra. You know how powerfully they came in that behind the lecture. That is one thing I learned today. That's what we should practice. And for Shreya also, I think, of course, you have come a long way, but still you can see, you can learn from that. That's what I felt. Wonderful voice here today. And this is one topic which is dearest to my heart because I always believed in many of the times in the past I also told that Toastmaster is the best personality development program in the world. I always relate to what Ratan Tata told about the disco. His tagline, we also make steel. This Rusi mode you said. We also make steel, he said. When emphasizing with the Tata's real making steel, but what they were doing was the social, improvement of the society at large. Their philanthropy, they are more known for that. But we also make steel. So given to Toastmasters, I would say, we also learn communication and leadership. Because we learn much more than that in the real life. That was beautifully brought about by Toastmaster Rudra. I really liked it. And particularly with the leadership and the communication track. Influencing with the authority, the service leadership, I think those who have done your high performance leadership would know about it. So it is a distinction between the servant leadership and service leadership, apart from the other kind of leadership. You brought about very nicely. And the various roles. So one thing good about is, our day in and day out, our youngsters, Sachin and Vaibhav and Shreya, they have been taking these roles, thinking that, somebody has to do that. But the fallout of that, what you learn from that, you have brought out wonderful life, isn't it? You feel so happy that you are learning something, your leadership qualities are getting improved. There is something really came out very well in his presentation. I really liked it, the way he did it. And he related to his company HSBC where he was working, and how these various qualities he learnt here were applied now. In fact, for your information, I think there is a concept in which your pathways is built. I am always hammering on this point. Every speech has got two parts, the project and the speech. And the project, if you go through, that there is a questionnaire there. And there is one question which is common to all the projects you see. How this project helped you in the outside Toastmaster situation? There is one question. That should open your eyes that how this particular quality, what the skill set, what you are learning here is applicable outside the world. And that's what makes Toastmasters something unique. That's why I call it Toastmasters as the best and personality development program you can find in the world. Because it is not that 1 or 2 days you attend some program and you will be transformed. It doesn't happen that way. That's why ultimately program is a lifelong program. Because program is an incremental, it's a continuous process. That's one thing which I learned, and that whole concept was also brought by Rudra wonderfully well. I think we should give a big round of applause for him. He is not there today, but he is the great. Then we come to the table topics. Toastmaster Shuba, I two things I really stand out in your presentation today, the table topic session today. You took care of to see that all the persons who have not got roles, they got the questions. Particularly the newcomers, Nanda Kishore and Sudeep. And with Nanda Kishore, there is nothing to apologize. We really like it. You could really immediately think of a point regarding the partition, India-Pakistan part. That is something really great. And over a period of time, probably you'll be able to build on that particular idea and speak for 2-3 minutes, or maybe left to yourself maybe 10 minutes also. A speech can be made out of it. The idea is what is important in table topics. That is stuck to you. That is something really great. Really. And our Sudeep also, good response. And the questions, I was telling you two things stood up about giving to this people. And second is about your selection of topics. You have put a lot of effort in collating and selecting the topic and ask the right questions also. Wonderful questions and wonderful answers. At least out of 10, at least 6 or 7 was really eye-openers. Very nice topics and so big crowd. Particularly, Balraj response, wonderful. I really thoroughly enjoyed the way he put it up. Very nice. So only suggestion I can give you is about that voice thing. The problem with generally is we men find voice in Toastmasters because we have lost it in the home. but you have the luxury all along. Probably you should build on that, ladies. So there is Toastmaster Shuba will come to Rachana also. So this one thing you can work on is putting that kind of some bit of some panache and some flamboyance and all. That's one thing I can give because you have got all the stuff, but this should be presented in a real powerful manner. You have done a great job today. Let's give a big round of applause to Toastmaster Shuba for that. Now let's have the report from the tag team. Timer Sachin. Can I have your?
Good evening everyone. So here's my report as the timer. The meeting commenced at 6:25 p.m. The business session time allotted was 2 minutes. Time taken 1 minute 47 seconds. Welcome by Sergeant Arms by Toastmaster Sai Snehal. Time allotted 2 minutes. Time taken 2 minutes 44 seconds. President address Toastmaster Pavani. Time allotted 5 minutes. Time taken 6 minutes 20 seconds. Report on previous meeting. Toastmaster Jyothi. Time allotted 2 minutes. Time taken 2 minutes 55 seconds. And Master of Ceremonies. Toastmaster Rachana. Time allotted 20 minutes. Time taken 9 minutes 28 seconds. Now coming to the prepared speech session. There was one speaker, Toastmaster Shreya. Time taken was 7 minutes 12 seconds. Time allotted 5 to 7 minutes. And Evaluator, Toastmaster Apoorva. Time allotted 2 to 3 minutes. Time taken 3 minutes 9 seconds. Now coming to the table topic session. Table topic master, Toastmaster Shuba. Time allotted 20 minutes. Time taken 22 minutes. So the first speaker, Toastmaster Balraj, took 1 minute 58 seconds. Toastmaster K Prabhakara 2 minutes 18 seconds. Toastmaster Gajendra 48 seconds. Toastmaster Jia 47 seconds. Toastmaster Saketh 55 seconds. Toastmaster Vijay Upendra 2 minutes 2 seconds. Toastmaster Nanda Kishore 1 minute 7 seconds. Toastmaster Sudeep 1 minute 31 seconds. Toastmaster Raja 1 minute 56 seconds. Toastmaster Jyothi 2 minutes 11 seconds. The break time allotted was 5 minutes. It took 6 minutes 57 seconds. Back to Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sachin. Let me get the report from our counter, Toastmaster Vaibhav.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Here's my report for today. Coming to Toastmaster Rachana, 2 pauses. Toastmaster Apoorva, 5 hours and a pause. Toastmaster Shreya, usage of the word actually and like twice. Toastmaster Balraj, 3 hours and the usage of the word what. TM Gajendra, 1 hour. TM Jia, 1 hour. TM Saketh, 2 hours. TM Nanda Kishore, 4 hours, 2 umps. TM Sudeep, 5 hours and 2 umps. TM Jyothi, 1 long pause and the usage of the word you know. Rest, TM K Prabhakara, flawless. TM Shuba, flawless. TM Vijay, flawless. TM rest was flawless. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vaibhav. Let's hear the report from the Grammarian, distinguished Toastmaster Udanka.
Thank you, General Evaluator. I'll be dividing my evaluation or feedback in 4 sessions. One, the very good usages. There are a couple of good usages. Constellation of lights, servant leadership, harness or harnessing during the sentence, thick skin, exemplary. Now coming to the not so good usages where minutes of the meeting, previous meeting could be iterated as minutes of the previous meeting. Half an hour on late would be delayed by half an hour. Does not know, it could be as not aware. Growing up means could be as grow up mean. And also observed in the table topic session, there were a couple of usages, repetitive of different speakers like kind of a thing, kind of a space. Kind of a could be awarded or it could be just that space. And has happened could be had happened. And now coming to the place where I wanted to put it out this meeting, and that was, these are the sentences which were not wrongly used, but if we correct it by what I have written it down, it could be an infallible sentences moving forward. On a trip could be on a vacation, but could be however, keep the call could be hang up. These usages can improve the way of how you present yourself. And word of the day was used by 2 members, Sakshi and myself. With that, handing over the charge back to the General Evaluator.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Udanka. Let me have finally the Parliamentary Secretary Evaluator, Toastmaster Sakshi.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. My job as a PP evaluator was pretty easy because there was not even a single phone rang in the meeting. Nobody talked about sex, religion and politics. There was just one entry without the applause that was also called by our general evaluator in the session. Thank you and over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sakshi. All the role takers have done an excellent job. Only one couple of suggestions. Sachin and Vaibhav. The one thing is when we come inside, we'll shake hands, do a powerful shake hand, whoever is there. And once you are here, you are the master of that. So you are the person, the whole meeting you are conducting. You are 30 seconds or 1 minute, whatever you are speaking, you are the master here. So when you are going back, you have to give the charge back to me. There is a procedure, we will follow that for every day. There is a protocol rather we follow for every meeting that gives certain formality to the whole proceedings. Wonderful. But otherwise, and another thing is about, I would really appreciate the timer and our counter to tell the importance of the role, what the role is about in a couple of sentences. In your own way, you can tell what it is. Just as our grammarian explained the importance of grammar in his presentation. So there's only one suggestion. And otherwise, a wonderful job done, all the role takers. Let's give them all a big round of applause. Finally, coming to our Master of Ceremony, in this book. Rachana, one thing good is one biggest strength what you have is a good language, just as Shuba has got. These are the strengths of yours you have to build up. Shreya also, this is one thing. Always I envy you ladies, having that kind of language. I wish I had, because I studied back 60 years back in the Kannada medium here in the struggling with English, but you are also, what would you call, such a nice language you speak. I really envy you. Very nice control you got. You had a good smile. Your good evening was in appropriate place. And only suggestion I can give you is that let me tell about you how you covered that about again the topic theme itself, the frontiers, how the frontiers went on shifting. I think probably the common thread which emerged from Sergeant at Arms to the President to the Master of Ceremony was that frontier is not something static, it's dynamic. It goes on changing, it goes on shifts frontiers. That's what this came about wonderfully. That's how it is the frontiers are about. So that you dealt it very nicely, and you very creatively introduced that theme to the Toastmasters. That came out very well. Only a couple of suggestions I can give. One is I would really appreciate Master of Ceremony to know the introductions without referring, as though you know the person for some 1,000 years. So that becomes more powerful. The next speaker is, this was that, and all that. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next speaker, so and so. That would give that much. That speaker will be enthused to stand up and come walk to this with that. That's one thing. And also again the same topic I was talking about of the voice level. Some amount of flamboyance, particularly for the Master of Ceremony. Now the Toastmasters meeting, what in my personal opinion, the Sergeant at Arms and the Master of Ceremony are the two most important persons in the meeting. That's what I feel. President's anyway is that there's an intellectual exercise. Here it is giving the energy to the meeting. That is given by the Sergeant at Arms and next by the Master of Ceremony. So it's necessary that Master of Ceremony has to be a bit of more showy manship and flamboyance and all that. Like our Shreya went around showing so nicely seated. Her speech was something really amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So like that kind of thing that gives you coming out of the comfort zone and giving it is something like suddenly coming out of that, and that the Master of Ceremony was required. And that learning of Master of Ceremony is what very much follow up in the out in your general life. Wherever you take up the role, into that kind of some social situation, rather than that it matters a lot. Probably that is one thing only, because you have got biggest strength of good language that you can build on and put some more flamboyance into that, and that will take you to the next level. But I thoroughly enjoyed your session today. Wonderful job done. Let's give a round of applause to our Master. So again, coming up, we had a wonderful opening and an insightful speech by the President. One wonderful speech by Shreya, and an excellent. I really liked the guest session today. By the way he presented something reminded me of Raja in voice, probably because we three share our hairstyles. They say there are three kinds of hairstyles. Like yours is unparted, for some like Apoorva is parted, and ours is departed. But I thoroughly enjoyed today's session. With that, back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Bhat, for that enlightening and encouraging session. Alright, I think as we near the end of the meeting, today we've expanded our horizons, and we have traveled from Bangalore to Udupi to the Pacific Ocean and all the way to space. So on that note, I'd like to close the meeting and hand the charge back over to Toastmaster Pavani.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rachana. So, I'm seeing that only 16 of us have voted. I request everyone to cast your vote on the ballot.
If it doesn't matter, you can go ahead.
Yes.
If vote is more than one,
So firstly, the best prepared speaker for today, it goes to our first speaker, Toastmaster Shreya. And the best evaluator for today goes to Toastmaster Apoorva. Coming to the best table topic speaker today. When life gives him lemons, he takes it as a challenge. It goes to Toastmaster Raja. Coming to the best role taker MTG. It's a nice, okay. It goes to our MC Toastmaster Rachana. Lastly, the best role taker TAPG. It goes to Grammarian DTM Udanka. So with that, one small request for everyone to please come on time so that we can start the meeting on time and also end on time. And I request everyone to continue networking downstairs once the meeting is done. And I close meeting number 1305 and I request everyone to stand up for the national anthem.